So cyclic hydrocarbons are chains of carbons that are just attached and they're in a circle. What do we know about cyclic hydrocarbons?
They can be alkanes, alkenes, and alkynes.
Yeah, they can be alkanes, alkenes, and alkynes. What else do we know? Based on their shape, what do we know about the hydrocarbon, about the hydrogens? Each carbon has to have how many bonds?
4.
4. So how many bonds does it already have, this carbon?
2.
2. So there's 2 hydrogens off of this carbon, and 2 hydrogens, and 2 hydrogens, and so on and so forth. Does it have the maximum number of hydrocarbons around it?
Yes. No.
No, it doesn't have the maximum number of hydrocarbons. So when we look back to alkanes, we talked about this. Alkanes, if you look back on your second page, it says that alkanes are known as, it's your third point and it has a star beside it.
Saturated.
They're saturated because with only one single bond between carbon atoms, the carbon atoms are bonded to as many hydrogen atoms as possible. So in a shape like this, we see that this is actually saturated, but the minute that we do this, and we throw a double bond into our ring, now what do we see? How many hydrogens are off of this one?
1.
And how many hydrogens are off of this one? 1. So the minute that we throw a double bond into this, this now becomes what? Unsaturated. Okay, because there's not the maximum amount of hydrocarbons that we can have. Okay, so those are points, these are starred points for a reason. These are application questions on the diploma. Like, why is it that margarine is better than butter or the other way around? Because one's going to have saturated and one's going to have unsaturated.
So then will these, like, will the...
You might have a shape or you might be given a name.
But, like, will these always be unsaturated then?
If you have a double or a triple bond in it, these will be unsaturated. Okay? How do we name cyclic hydrocarbons?
How many carbons are in the ring?
How many carbons are in the ring? That starts with our root, so how many would this one have?
6.
6. This one has 6 carbons in it. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. What else do we need to know?
That cyclo goes before the root.
The which?
Cyclo, right?
Yeah, cyclo goes before the root. So this is going to be cyclo. What is the prefix for 6?
Hex.
Hex. This double bond says what? ENE. So this is a cyclohexene. Do we have to indicate where that double bond is?
No.
No, because we always start counting at the double bond. So this could be 1, 2, or we could do 1, 2 this way. Typically this changes depending where there's a branch. If there was a branch here, we would go 1, 2, 3, rather than 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Sam?
What if there's like another double bond? Or
Another
triple
double bond? Then you pick 1. So then this would be 1, 2, and then there would be a 1, 2, 3. This would be a cyclo hex. 4, you go 1, 4, ene.
Okay.
Because you're indicating that there's more than one double bond.
What if there's like a triple bond? Would it come first or would the double bond? It could be like E and Y and E.
The triple bond would come first,
Okay. How would you show
but this wouldn't happen in the same compound. We wouldn't name it this way.
Okay.
It would have a completely different name. That's like second year organic university chemistry.
Okay.
You won't see this on a test, a triple bond and a double bond in a cycle.
Okay.
Okay? I promise you, you won't see that. Okay?
Okay.
So when we go to aromatics, one of the things that we know about aromatics is that they have more than one bond in them. Okay? So a benzene ring is an aromatic, and it's a 6-carbon ring with 1 hydrogen atom at each carbon because there's alternating double bonds in them. And so we call it C6H6 because there's double bonds in it. It is unsaturated. So it's really important that you know what constitutes unsaturated or saturated. We've seen it repeatedly through our notes. It's a point to make sure you're aware of. So aromatic is there because, lo and behold, they have a scent. So what are things that we know have a scent?
Candles.
Candles have a scent, and we call those what? Aromas, right? Or aromatics, right?
Oh.
What else do we have? Cookies? Well, they do. Chocolate has an aromatic in it.
Wow.
What else do we use personally? What do we use personally?
Body wash. Shampoo.
Body wash, shampoo, deodorant, perfume. Those all have scents in them. Anything with a scent has an aromatic in it. Okay? So, benzenes are very specific that they're 6 hydrocarbons with alternating, double bonds in them. Okay, so they're cyclic, there's 6, and there's double bonds. Okay, can also look like this. It doesn't matter, it just has to be alternating. So whether you start here and you go down or you start here and you go up, it doesn't matter. But typically what you'll see in a benzene ring, this is very standard way of drawing it, is like this. Okay, shows you that there's double bonds and that it's unsaturated. This is really important to note. Aliphatic hydrocarbons are anything that's not a benzene. Okay? They don't contain, okay, they don't contain a benzene ring. So they have alkanes, alkenes, alkynes, so still the double bonds, and they still can be cyclic, but they're not a benzene ring. This is really important. When a benzene ring is a side group, it's called a phenyl group. And it's a side group when there's 7 carbons or more. So you still have to pay attention to the longest chain. Okay? So let's look at an example. So here's one example. So this indicates what? Just this shape alone indicates benzene ring. Okay? Okay. So what are our 2 side chains? How many carbons are in our side chains? Let's start there. In this one, how many carbons are there?
2.
Right, there's one here and there's one here. What about this one here?
4, 2, 3.
bond to join from this carbon to this carbon. Okay? So what do we call this group?
Ethyl.
Yes.
And what do we call this group?
Ben.
Well,
Like the P one.
Propyl.
Propyl, yes.
There's that three.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's
Because
one,
there's three, yeah.
two,
What's
three.
four, bro?
Okay?
And butane.
So then how are we going to name this? How do we start counting?
That's propyl.
At the propyl, does P come before E?
No, never mind.
Okay, so we're going to start alphabetically. 1, 2, 3, and we're going to go the shortest distance to the next one, not this way.
I think I should flip one head.
So 1, ethyl. And what did we say this structure was? Benzene. And it's written as one word here, propylbenzene. Okay? Any questions on that one? Alrighty. Whew. So number 2 looks like this.